You are a very lucky man that I'm not a Chinese spy. But I gotta ask you a question. What the hell is the guy who's an advisor to the National Security Council doing? Spilling the, quote, tea to an undercover journalist.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about James O'Keefe of O'Keefe Media Group, formerly of Project Veritas, doing the Lord's work yet again. This time he exposed somebody who is an advisor to the National Security Council. Now, this guy, I don't know why, but he was spilling his entire guts. Whatever kind of information he had about this and that, he's just telling it on this date with this random person. Now, if you're an advisor to the National Security Council, what is the number one rule you shouldn't break? I don't know, telling classified information to a stranger on the street, spilling your guts, just gossiping willy-nilly about whatever's going on, things that the public shouldn't even know about. If that is your role, you out of everybody should know that, because this is like CIA, intelligence. Y'all should be the ones who keep information secret rather than just telling everybody that want to hear it. Now, before I go any further, let's get to the video. I'll place the full video from James O'Keefe, O'Keefe Media Group in the box. If you're on IG, Facebook, etc., visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Henry Appel, National Security Council. Hi, I'm James O'Keefe, investigative reporter and muckraker. This is you on hidden camera.
Cool.
Hey. You're lucky I'm not a Chinese spy. You are a very lucky man.
And you know what? I'm going to pause right here. Sorry for the pause. And again, I'll link to this whole thing with the captions and everything shown in the box. But that could be part of the whole Chinese spy situation. We saw Eric Swalwell got caught up with Fang Fang Yum Yum, whatever her name was. We've seen quite a few of these types of things happening. Wasn't it? Who was that? Was it Pelosi or somebody? I forget. Somebody had a Chinese spy that was part of their cleaning staff. I don't know who that guy was, but there's quite a bit of this. And I think some of it just goes back to incompetence of you not being able to understand how to keep things secret and who to keep out of your circle.
That I'm not a Chinese spy, but I gotta ask you a question. What the hell is the guy who's an advisor to the National Security Council doing? Spilling the, quote, tea to an undercover journalist.
Well, here's the tea. Joe Biden is like dead. We're trying to fund it.
What type of national security operation you boys running in the United States government?
This guy right here ain't nothing but a social media, like a TikToker. Trauma bonded, all this. You talking about all these social media words. You're more interested in, you know, your electronic gadgets than you are your actual job.
And you used to be a spy.
For a while, I thought I was going to be a spy.
You thought what?
I thought I was going to be a spy. And I did that for a little while.
What type of spy are you? So where are you going? So we're here in Washington with the spy who works for the United States government, who's, quote, spilling the tea. Now, this is you talking about Biden being, quote, dead.
Joe Biden is like dead. He like can't just say a sentence.
These are your words. I'm going to play them for you here.
Joe Biden is like...
He's like dead. You also tell an anecdote where you're on the phone with the president. He didn't even know that the guy that he was asking for was right next to him.
My boss was on an international trip with him, like in Europe or something. The phone rang in the office, and I picked it up. And I was like, "Oh, this president, Henry." He was like, "He's safe there." He's like, "No, he's traveling with you. He's on the same trip that you are."
Okay, so Biden apparently was asking, you know, where Jake Sullivan is. And then the person that was talking to him said, he's with you. He, you know, but that's just an example of Biden's mind leaving him, not knowing that the person he's looking for is right in the next room. But we all saw that. I mean, we saw that prior to the 2020 election. So it's not anything new. But what we're getting right here is undercover footage. They'll know they're being recorded. Obviously, this guy's supposed to be a spy. So, I mean, anyway, they don't know they're being recorded, and they're just saying things that we all know to be true.
And you work for the National Security Council as an advisor, and you're saying all these things to a rando. What if that random person was a Chinese spy? Is that what they teach you in Intel school?
That's a good question, though, because people could say, oh, well, James O'Keefe, you just setting these guys up. Well, look, man, if you're in the Intel world, if you're in this world, DC politics, security clearances, all kind of stuff, you need to be aware that those people exist, whether it be James O'Keefe, Steven Crowder, a guy like me, or a Chinese spy. It could be anybody. And if you're telling the wrong people the wrong things could really get ugly in this world.
What do you feel like? You're about to be famous. And by the way, what was it like to cry those tears when Trump won? You said you're concerned.
Now you're just rubbing it in right there. Now you're just rubbing it in. That right there, his face. Look at his face.
About being retaliated against.
There were a lot of tears the next morning. We're also like kind of concerned about like them coming after us.
What was it like to cry? There he goes. The spy who shagged me. No, the spy that works for the Biden administration. Running away, not saying a word. He's very concerned. People who are intelligence people don't want to be famous.
Now, the reason why he's wearing a tuxedo right here is because there was a gala. I'm not sure if it was his gala or like a larger organization's gala, but he was at a gala and he paused during dinner to go do the interaction and went right back to the gala. So shout out to James O'Keefe.
People who are intelligence people don't want to be famous. So we just confronted the spy who works as an advisor to the National Security Council for Biden. He ran away into this place here. We asked him about the tears he was feeling and the trauma that he was feeling as a deep state official after Trump's victory. Perhaps he should be concerned because he works for the National Security Council and he's giving away all the secrets to a stranger here on the streets of Washington, D.C. Hello, ma'am. Yes. And then she runs away. People like to stare at us when we do this. We are behind enemy lines in the nation's capital, and the trauma that they feel, maybe they should come after these people for spilling secrets and being horrible at their jobs as spies. That's about the worst espionage ever if you're going to be telling people about what's happening inside the White House. Reporting from Washington, D.C., this is James O'Keefe with OMG.
All right, so shout out to OMG, O'Keefe Media Group. Shout out to James O'Keefe. Hey, man, doing the Lord's work. Somebody got to do it, man. Like, what he did right there in that video, two things. The first thing, you're exposing incompetence, because if you are part of the National Security Council, you're an advisor to the organization, you're in the intelligence world, you, out of everybody, should know how to keep things secret, how to not reveal certain information, how to not talk to a random person on the street about things that should not be public. That should be basic knowledge for you. You should be taught that day one. That should be 101. The very first day of the class, you should know how to do that. But you're violating the core principles of what you're supposed to be doing. So to me, that's just really kind of mind-boggling right there. But beyond that, you're exposing what we all knew about Biden himself. Okay, being 1,000 years old, looking every bit of it. Okay, not functioning properly, not behaving properly. We all saw that. We saw that prior to the 2020 election, and we saw it prior to this election. The whole world really saw it on that debate stage. And it was real bad. And I think that they, meaning the administration, they were trying to hide him as much as possible. They did not want to do that. Like, if they could have it their way, they would have him skip that debate some kind of way. They tried to say Trump did something, or gaslighting us, some way to skip that debate. The reason why I think it happened is because he looked so bad on the campaign trail, they couldn't do too much to hide him. So that moment was put out there to make everybody realize how bad he is. And when they pulled him after the primaries are over and then put up Kamala without an election, it wouldn't be a bunch of kickback. Oh, he looks bad. He looks terrible. Send him home. And yeah, let Kamala replace him. Line of succession. All the line of succession does not really kick in until somebody resigns or they die. But as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to James O'Keefe, O'Keefe Media Group. Hey, man, keep these exposés coming to keep the so-called spies in the government on their toes, to keep people who are elected officials on their toes, to keep the government in check. Because the way the government works, in my humble opinion, they do things that they think make sense for them, and it'll trickle down to us some kind of way. But their decisions often hurt us, and you got to ask, if we're being hurt, then who's being helped? And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about this guy, Apple, and just spilling the quote unquote tea. And by the way, I think he might have been on a date with a young lady. Anyway, but what's your opinion about this guy doing that, especially since he is an advisor to the National Security Council? You should be the one that not say anything. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. This just points to incompetence, general incompetence. And also there's an issue with the pipeline from K through 12, college, on up to the big leagues, on up to the pros. Is that the kind of guy we're producing right there? Is that the norm of what's happening in DC? Is that the new class of people? Because if it is, we're going to have a problem much sooner than later. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.